fasten this to the side of the hard drive like so, and then by the way, this is the hard drive. Fasten it to the side of the hard drive, which will allow it to slide. Oops, sorry, wrong way. Alright, there we go. Sorry. Alright, now these slots up in here, this is where your hard drive goes in this particular computer. So again, you would secure these green things, which again happen to be quick releases so that you can just slide it in and out of here. Secure this into the chassis. Now this one actually, and again, there actually is another, you've got a larger slot here, which is where your CD drive and your floppy drive go in this particular computer. There's another box here, and this is where your hard drive goes. So, for this sake right now, all I'm going to do is just drop it in. So it would go right in this slot here. Again, I'm trying to cut down on time, so I'm not actually going to go through and secure the quick releases to it. And again, if you're not doing this in a Dell computer, you will not have those quick releases, not typically at least, unless you got a high dollar case. So, the next thing will be your power supply. Now, this one's got a very funky looking power supply. It's a little long, actually. Normally, your power supply is only about half the size of this, but about half the thickness, too. So, that end is the end that sticks out of the computer. What you want to do, and again, this one happens to go in the same way that the motherboard did, where it just slides in and locks into place like so. You've got all of these wires coming off of this thing. So, there we go. Alright, now, this one, this big one here, this is what connects the power supply to the motherboard and actually gives the computer power. See this white slot here? That's where that goes. Now, when you look at the slot, there will actually be a notch on one end. There's a tab on this power connector which locks it into place. That's where that one goes. Now, these smaller ones are what you will use to power both your hard drive as well as your CD drive. So this, again, ensuring that these have little notches. I don't know if you can see that these are rounded on one end right here. That you must make sure lines up with the connection on the hard drive as well as the CD drive. Push that in until it locks into place. The only other connector I'm going to be using in this case happens to be the small one, which is called a Berg connector, which goes to your floppy drive. The other one here, I'm sorry, by the way, was called a Molex. This is your ATX power. Alright, now you're going to do your ribbon cable, which is this here. In this case, uses a ribbon cable. Now, some of these, as I mentioned, do use serial ATA, which is a very thin cable, which I don't have one readily accessible, but I don't have one readily accessible right now, so otherwise I would show you. So what you'll do again, and again with these, there happen to be notches. So let me show you. Alright, so that space right there where there's no hole, there's a place like that on both the motherboard as well as the hard drive that lines up with that. This will plug, and I had it upside down, into this slot here. There. Now your hard drive is connected to your motherboard. For this sake, I guess we'll go ahead and put in a floppy drive. Now, in most of your newer computers, there's not going to be much of a point for a floppy drive. Here's a floppy drive. Everybody knows what that is. So, again, this has those quick release tabs on it. So, all I do is slide it in. You heard it lock. Again, this has a ribbon cable. Same thing. I know that black one's kind of hard to see. There's a smaller slot on the motherboard, which for this one happens to be up here, and that is where you will connect your floppy drive. And you've now built a computer. All you would have to do from this point, close it up, plug everything up to your monitor, your mouse, and keyboard, fire it up, and then you would go into loading the operating system. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. Almost forgot CD drive. CD drive will actually go right here above where the floppy drive is. You would put that in. Again, with this one, it happens to use the quick connects. Once you slide it in, again, you will have another ribbon cable, just like these guys here, that will go right next to the connection. It goes right here. This is where the floppy drive is connected. This is where your CD drive will go. You will need to do that because that's what you're going to use to actually load the operating system and whatnot off of a disk. So make sure that you do that. Unfortunately, I don't have one to slide into this at the moment. But again, it's simply just sliding it in, making sure actually that you apply power. That was one thing I did forget to do, was put power to the floppy drive. So make sure that you connect your power just like so to the floppy drive. Everything does need power, everything does need a cable to connect it to the motherboard. There you go, you have now officially built a computer. Again, all you would have to do at this point, close everything up, power it up, load your operating system, and you're ready to go.